Hi, Cliff Clover, Watson Realty, back in the studio today. Gary DeCellis, Watson Title Services, president of Watson Title Services. Gary, thank you for being here.
You're welcome, Cliff.
And we're going to be talking about the lucrative FIRPTA clause that a lot of my foreign national clients tend to see when they're selling their property or buying a property. They get this FIRPTA clause. And people don't understand what that is, how it affects them. And I wanted to have a title company describe how that affects the client buying or selling the property. So could you explain, Gary, what FIRPTA is?
Sure, Cliff. FIRPTA stands for Foreign Investment Real Property Tax Act. Okay. It involves foreign individuals, and you may say, well, what consists of a foreign individual? Really, it's a non-resident alien, someone that is a non-U.S. citizen that doesn't pay U.S. income tax. So if you're a seller and you fit that category, you're subject to FIRPTA. And in that, when you sell the property, according to the Act, 10% of the gross sales price of the property must be withheld from the proceeds and submitted to the Internal Revenue Service as part of a tax that's paid on the sale of the property. Now, that tax, there are some exemptions where the seller may be excluded from paying that tax. But at the time of the closing, there is an IRS form called 8288B. It's like a pre-income tax form. Kind of tells you if you made money or if you lost money on the sale of the property. That form needs to be filled out, submitted to the IRS prior to the date of closing. Once that's submitted, then the closing agent will withhold 10% of the sales price of the property in their escrow account, pending the determination from the Internal Revenue Service whether the foreign seller owes money or does not owe money.
And that's a great point, because sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, they may only be making, say, $10,000 on profit from the sale of their property, but because of FIRPTA, they have to come up with an additional $10,000 in order to close. Is that correct? That's correct.
Even if the 10% withholding exceeds the amount of the proceeds, the difference still has to be withheld pending the outcome of the Internal Revenue results. So in that particular case, foreigners need to know that. It's very important. Now we deal with, there's many accountants out there that provide the service. And so it's something that there's other things that are involved. There's TIN numbers, buyer and seller. So there's a lot involved in it. So it's very important that it's discussed up front.
Yeah, we use, you recommend, or I've used for many years, is Harding and Associates.
That's correct.
And I'll provide their link below just in case you're interested. And generally, what is the cost for the foreign national customer to file their 8828B on average?
I'm going to say probably around $400 to $600, depending on the complexity of it. But again, that's something that you need to talk to the company. Harding and Associates is what their fees are. Certain situations may be less expensive than others, but I'm going to say probably in that range.
Right, and that's a big gotcha for a lot of people. Now, some people that are, way you've helped before, we're dealing with a lot of short sales, we're dealing with a lot of investors right now. And some of the sellers obviously are so upside down right now, they're not making a profit, they're taking a major loss. What happens for somebody to taking a major loss? How do they have to sell their property and they still have a FIRPTA issue?
Well, I would suggest that they get a hold of, in the very beginning, they get a hold of someone like Harding and Associates and sit down and discuss their situation with them to find out what their alternatives are and go from there. If the withholding certificate can be obtained prior to closing, that way we will know if they lost money on the property, there's no withholding, therefore we don't have to withhold any additional money from the proceeds.
Okay, big thing right there. Okay, Gary just said that they don't have to. If you could prove on your tax assessment that it's a nil-nil situation for you, it's a big loss, the title company will not hold the 10%, or you don't have to borrow the money of the 10% to actually sell your property. So that is a major thing. Some title companies, guys, don't do this. So it's very important, if you have additional questions, that you talk to Watson Title Services, talk to Gary personally if you'd like. The link will be provided below. Gary, what's a good way for people to contact you or your company? What's a good number for them to call?
Our office number is 407-645-1310. Our website is watsontitleservices.com.
Okay, and again, you've made a great choice with dealing with cliffclover.com, guys. If you have any questions or anything, if you're a foreign national buyer and you see a home that you are interested in, and you'd like to talk to me about it, the direct line is 321-229-5890. And stay tuned, we're going to be talking now for our domestic investors. Our next topic with Gary is going to be dealing with 1031 exchanges. So you might want to stick around, find out how that can affect you and benefit your bottom line. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.